I had the opportunity to see Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein in theaters. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button to never miss a video. We have daily film content, including movie reviews, movie news, and so much more. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button to never miss a video. I had the opportunity to see the new Frankenstein film in theaters, and it was, without question, amazing. And I absolutely love and adore this film. Now, going in, I saw a few trailers. I had a basic idea of the concept. I mean, who doesn't know what Frankenstein is or who Frankenstein is? However, I will say there is a lot of mixed reviews online I've seen so far, people who have seen this film early. And I think the biggest takeaway, if anything, from this review is that going into this film, what a lot of people expect isn't what the film is. And I think that's where a lot of the ill feelings or poor reviews come from, because it's not a horror film. It's very much a epic love story baptized in a gothic aesthetic, and I mean that in the best possible way. Again, there has been so many various different takes on Frankenstein over the 100 years the character's been in existence. I never read Mary Shelley's original Frankenstein novel. I started reading it like a couple years ago, never actually got that far into it. However, I will say from what I remember reading and what I've read of the book, this adaptation is probably one of the truest and closest to the source material. Again, I haven't read the whole book, so don't say, oh, this was different, that was different. I never read the whole book. I read part of the book, and from what I read and remember reading, this is one of the most truest adaptation from the book. And again, a lot of, when you think of Frankenstein, you think of a horror movie. You think of a creature killing people. And there is death. This film is gory, but it's also gory in various different ways, not just in Frankenstein's monster, killing people. We've had a lot more even recent. Well, your original Frankenstein was very animated, like, the mad scientist is like, it's alive! And then, we had the Victor Frankenstein with Daniel Radcliffe and James McCoy that came out in like 2012. And then in 2014 or 13, we got I, Frankenstein with Harvey Dent from Batman, playing a very different kind of version of Frank. It was kind of like a Frankenstein meets Underworld kind of movie, the I, Frankenstein movie. So we had a lot of different animated kind of versions of what Frankenstein is and who this character is in these different adaptations. And even over the years, we've always seen him in various different movies and TV shows that kind of portrayed the character differently than what the original source material was. Again, I haven't read the whole book, but this is by far the closest, to my knowledge, of the actual Frankenstein story, which isn't about, this monster killing people. It's very much a love story. It kind of takes back, and Del Toro definitely takes a lot of essence from a lot of classic films like the 1925 Phantom of the Opera, even the 1933 King Kong has a lot of reference to that core storytelling in here. And you even see him you see a lot of his previous work as well in this film, especially The Shape of Water. You kind of have that same element. Like going into Frankenstein, it's kind of a very similar story tone as, I would say, The Shape of Water. It's closer to The Shape of Water than it is to any Frankenstein adaptation that we've seen thus far. And again, that's the film overall, though, getting away from just the aesthetic of who Frankenstein is and kind of going in and what to expect from this film, everything from a technical aspect, with the exception of the god-awful CGI. There's one scene that's CGI with flames that is just bad. The flames look horrible. But other than that, every aspect of this film is just purely cinematic. And Del Toro definitely has proven himself once again with this film. You have some beautiful cinematography. Everything was a deliberate choice in this movie, and you can kind of tell he definitely took a lot of care into this passion project. And the storyline is very much, flawless. You have amazing performances. You got Mia Goth, okay, hands down her best performance yet. I absolutely love her in this movie. Again, Isaac again gives another fantastic performance. Like, to say he's ever given a bad performance would be a true statement, because I've never seen a bad movie with him in it. Christopher Waltz has a small role, supporting role in this film. Again, kills it. I mean, the performances are amazing. Cinematography, the set direction. Like, this is a film that really kind of is on all levels, and even from a technical aspect. Like, The cinematography is just gorgeous. The score is amazing. Even the set direction and the costume design, there's so much beauty in it. And that's something that I generally don't talk about too much and even pay close attention to. But I feel like when you have, in any aspect of filmmaking, you always 3 grades. You have good, bad, and great. If it's bad, anything can stand. Everything, if something is done poorly, the set direction, the costume design, the cinematography, the score, the overall direction, the performances, they stand out and like a sore thumb because they're so god-awful. If it's good, a lot of times you're not going to notice the small details or even pay attention to those subgenre or sublets of the aspect of filmmaking. Now, when they are great, they stand out because they stand out, but in the best possible way. They stand out because of how phenomenal they look and how much detail went into it. And that's like the costume design. There's this one scene where you just have a very like kind of pretty much everybody's wearing like black and gray kind of, or black and white. It's very a dull color scheme. And then you have Mia Goth's character wearing this very vibrant-ish kind of red dress, and it really stands out and pops. Which again, the costume design in this scene, phenomenal, because the red dress and the color of the dress and just kind of the contrast between her outfit and everybody else's, it plays a more critical role in the undertone of the film, and it's just really, and that's one of the scenes in this film that just really stands out, which gives us this great costume design. Why I say that it's just on another tier, because generally things like that don't stand out usually. I know some people might say, okay, your costume design's a very big important part of the film and an aspect to them. And generally, if you do costume design right, it shouldn't stand out because it blends the story. It's not a forefront of something you're thinking about. When you do it poorly, it definitely stands out. But when you do it great and you have a moment like this, it stands out because of how it's just captured and how you have this contrast, and it just really adds to the element of the story. When it's done on this level, it stands out for all the right reasons. Like I said, this movie is an absolute banger. I cannot praise this movie enough. The only slight hiccup I would say is this, again, with some of the CGI, is just it's noticeably bad. But other than that, I mean, Del Toro definitely delivers on this. I know it is premiering on Netflix, I believe, November 7th. There are some theaters, more than I actually expected to see, playing this film, and apparently Netflix is going to be pushing out more of their films in theaters, so it's definitely a plus. And this is a film I would highly recommend seeing on the big screen if possible. If not, again, coming out November 7th on Netflix. But with that being said, the overall rating of this film is going to be a Ferris Bueller, because believe me when I tell you, if I could, I would take off and go see this movie again in theaters. How you saw Frankenstein? What are your thoughts? Comment below. Let me know.